Have you ever had one of those days where everything just feels off? The kind of day where even the smallest inconveniences feel like personal attacks from the universe? We've all been there. But sometimes in the middle of those chaotic moments, something simple can shift everything, a thought, a perspective, a quiet realization. This is a short story about one of those moments, a story about the quiet, transformative power of gratitude. There was once a man named Daniel. He was like many of us, working a steady job, going through the routines of life, checking boxes, chasing goals. On paper, Daniel had a good life. A decent apartment, a job that paid the bills, a car that ran most days. He had friends he met up with occasionally and parents who called every Sunday. From the outside, it seemed like everything was fine. But inside, Daniel felt empty. Not unhappy exactly, just numb. Every day felt the same. He woke up, scrolled through his phone, got ready, went to work, came home, ate, watched something to pass the time, then went to bed. Rinse and repeat. There was no spark, no joy. Just this quiet undercurrent of discontent, like something was missing and he couldn't quite name it. One rainy Tuesday morning, Daniel was running late. Again, he spilled coffee on his shirt, missed the bus, and got stuck walking several blocks in the drizzle. By the time he got to work, his mood had already hit rock bottom. As he stepped into the elevator, soaked and frustrated, he sighed heavily. One of those dramatic, exhausted sighs that speaks louder than words. The elevator stopped on the third floor. An older janitor stepped in. His name tag read, Mr. Harris. Daniel had seen him before, always with a quiet smile and a nod, pushing his cart of cleaning supplies. Today was no different. Mr. Harris gave Daniel a small nod and smiled warmly. "Rain caught you, huh?" he said casually. Daniel nodded, trying to muster a polite smile, but failing. "Yeah, just one of those days." Mr. Harris chuckled softly. "I've had a few of those, but at least we've got days to have." Daniel looked over, caught off guard by the comment. It wasn't said in a preachy or overly optimistic way, it was just honest, real, like someone who'd seen enough of life to know what mattered. Mr. Harris continued, "My knees hurt every morning. My back's been screaming for the past 10 years. But you know what? I get to wake up, move around, talk to people. Some folks don't get that anymore." The elevator dinged. Daniel's floor. He hesitated a moment before stepping out. "Thanks," he said quietly. Mr. Harris smiled again. "Have a good one, son." That night, something about that interaction stuck with Daniel. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't a motivational speech, but there was something about that line that kept echoing in his head. He went home, sat on the couch, and just thought. He looked around his apartment, really. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm, safe. He thought about the meal in his fridge, the messages from his friends he hadn't replied to, the fact that he could walk around the block if he wanted to, legs working, lungs breathing. It hit him slowly, like sunlight creeping in through a curtain. He had so much. Not in the flashy, social media-worthy way, but in the real way. The quiet abundance we all forget to notice, and for the first time in a long time he felt grateful. The next morning, Daniel tried something new. Before grabbing his phone, before brushing his teeth, he sat up in bed and whispered 3 things he was grateful for. Nothing huge, just small things. "I'm grateful for this bed. I'm grateful I woke up. I'm grateful I have hot water." It felt a little silly at first, but also peaceful. Days passed, then weeks. Daniel made it a daily habit. Gratitude, in small doses, began to shape the way he saw everything. He found himself complaining less. Not because life suddenly became perfect, it didn't. His car still broke down. Work was still stressful. The rain still came. But those things stopped owning his day. He realized that gratitude wasn't about ignoring problems. It wasn't about pretending life was always sunshine. It was about choosing to see the hard and the beautiful, the stress and the blessings, the noise and the silence. Gratitude was like turning on a light in a dim room. Everything was still there, but now he could it differently. One evening, months later, Daniel ran into Mr. Harris again. This time, he was the one to speak first. "Hey, Mr. Harris," he said with a smile, "I never thanked you for something you said a while back." The janitor raised an eyebrow, amused. "Oh yeah? What did I say? You told me, at least we've got days to have." It kind of changed how I see things. Mr. Harris chuckled, pushing his cart along. "Well, I'm glad it stuck. Life's short, you know. Might as well find something to be thankful for while we're here." Daniel nodded. "I think I finally get what you meant." Mr. Harris smiled, then gave him a playful pat on the shoulder. "You'll forget sometimes," he said. "We all do, but just keep remembering again." And that was it. No dramatic music, no life-altering event, just two people, one lesson, and a reminder we all need sometimes. Gratitude doesn't demand we change our entire lives, it just asks us to notice, to pause, to see, to say, "Hey, this moment matters. This breath, this meal, this conversation, this walk, this sunrise, it matters." We live in a world that constantly pushes us to want more, to chase what's next, to believe that happiness lives somewhere just out of reach. But what if joy is already here, quietly waiting to be acknowledged? What if it's tucked inside the things we overlook, the people we pass by, the comfort we forget we have? There's a quiet strength in gratitude. It won't shout over your doubts, but it will whisper truth when you need it. It won't erase your problems, but it will remind you of your power to endure them. It won't fix everything, but it will change the way you carry it all. Daniel's story isn't unique, that's what makes it powerful. Because it could be any of us. You, me, the stranger next to you. We all have those cloudy days, but inside each day, no matter how grey, there's always something, some small, stubborn light worth noticing. So maybe tonight, before you sleep, try what Daniel did. Think of 3 small things, not big, not profound, just honest. I'm grateful I have a blanket. I'm grateful for that one laugh I had today. I'm grateful I made it through. Let those small sparks remind you that light still exists, even on the hardest days. Gratitude isn't magic, but it is medicine. And sometimes all it takes is a few quiet words, a small shift in perspective, and the willingness to see the beauty in the ordinary. At least we've got days to have. And for that alone, maybe, just maybe, we can be thankful.